So today we're going to talk a little bit about weight loss and sleep. So if you've ever tried dropping a few pounds, you know that losing it and then keeping it off can be very difficult. So let's talk about why that can be a huge challenge. Now, in the medical community, they're still kind of untangling this complicated relationship between sleep and body weight. And there's several potential links that have emerged where we can highlight those potential loss benefits of getting a good night's rest and then the negative impacts of sleep deprivation. So today we're discussing that connection between sleep and weight. Now, over the past several decades, the amount of sleep that Americans actually get has steadily decreased. And there's this self-reported quality of sleep that we've been studying, and that's declined as well. So for pretty much for much of the same time period, this average body mass index and then the amount of sleep that Americans are getting are very correlated. So Americans were really looking at this trend of higher body weights, elevated obesity, in response to the trends of this connection with weight and then sleep deprivation as well. So there's tons of studies that are out there showing restricted sleep and poor sleep quality may actually lead to metabolic disorders, weight gain, increased risk of obesity, and some other health conditions. Now, while we know there's a continuing debate out there within the medical community about, exact nature of this relationship and some of the research points that are correlating to that good night's sleep with healthy body weight, there really remains much to be discovered about all the little intricate details of how sleep and weight are connected. But there are lots of studies out there already, but we're continuing with these studies. So let's kind of talk about some of those. So there is a guess factor that additional research with the hope of increasing our understanding that relationship will actually lead to a reduced obesity rate and better weight loss methods for us. So I'm Dena Woulfe, your holistic health nurse. I help frustrated women who want to lose weight learn how to biohack their hormones, feel more energized, happy, and rested. So let's look. Can a lack of sleep actually increase your appetite? What do we know already, right? So there is a common connection between weight and sleep, which involves how sleep affects our appetite. So while we often think of appetite as simply like, oh, my stomach's growling, right? It's actually controlled by our neurotransmitters and a lot of chemical messengers that allow our nerve cells to communicate with one another. So these neurotransmitters, the ghrelin and leptin, are thought to be our central appetite controllers. Okay, so ghrelin promotes hunger, so we'll get that grumble. And then leptin contributes to feeling full. So the body naturally increases and decreases the levels of these neurotransmitters throughout the day, signaling us when to consume calories and when to stop eating. So the lack of sleep may affect the body's regulatory neurotransmitters on those parts. So in one study, men who got 4 hours of sleep had increased ghrelin and decreased leptin. So they were signaling to be more hungry, they ate more, and they had less of an inclination to stop eating compared to those who got 10 hours of sleep. So this deregulation of the ghrelin and leptin may actually lead to increased appetite, diminished feelings of fullness, and especially in people who are sleep deprived. Now, in several studies, they've also indicated that sleep deprivation also affects our food preferences as well. So sleep deprived individuals tend to choose foods that are higher in calories and carbohydrates. I don't know about you, but have you ever noticed that when you're hungry or tired, you reach for something sweet? Yeah, right? Or maybe salty. So you tend to choose something that's got a little bit higher caloric intake too, and maybe might be something that will give you that quick rush, but then you might crash later. So another hypothesis regarding the connection between the sleep and the increased appetite involves the body's endocannabinoid system and orexin, which are neurotransmitters targeted by some sleep aids. So if you're on something to help aid you sleep, this can interfere with that as well, with some of those hormone signalings and some of our neurotransmitters. So there's many researchers believe that there is a direct connection between sleep and the dysregulation of our neurotransmitters, and this now complicated explanation is gonna, we'll have to save that for another time because that's a whole nother side story, right? But bottom line, does sleep increase metabolism? Metabolism is actually a chemical process in the body which we take the food that we eat and drink and we turn it into energy to survive. So all of our collected activities, from breathing, exercising, and everything in between, is all part of our metabolism. And there's activities like exercise that can temporarily increase our metabolism. Sleep cannot. And so metabolism actually slows to about 15% during the sleep, and it reaches its lowest point in the morning. So studies have actually shown that sleep deprivation, whether due to self-induction or insomnia, untreated sleep apnea, or any other disorders, that can commonly lead to metabolic dysregulation. So poor sleep is associated with increased oxidative stress, blood sugar intolerance, which is a precursor to diabetes, insulin resistance, and then extra time spent awake may also increase the opportunity to eat. So if we're awake more, we're going to tend to probably eat more, right? Which makes sense. And so sleeping less may also disrupt your circadian rhythms. Now, our circadian rhythms are very, very important. And when we have those disrupted, that can lead to weight gain. So we also see people who like work night shift tend to have a lot more health issues as well, because we're totally interrupting that circadian rhythm quite often. So sleep and obesity, how they're linked is they did some like studies too, and like we noticed like in children and in adolescents, the link between not getting enough sleep and the increased risk of obesity was very well established. And the reason for that link is still kind of being debated, but insufficient sleep in children can actually lead to metabolic irregularities, which we kind of talked about. Things like skipping breakfast in the morning, or taking in a lot more salty, fatty, greasy, starchy foods. Those can also interfere with their metabolic and neurotransmitters and all that stuff that we just discussed. So in adults, the research was a lot more definitive, while a large analysis of the past studies that they suggested that people getting less than 6 hours of sleep a night are more likely to be diagnosed as obese. So it is a challenging thing for, a lot of these studies to really hone in and determine on the cause and effect, or, how much they are directly linked. But your body is just a very complex thing. And so, there's not like, if I do this one thing, it's going to do this, that kind of thing. So we want to be doing a lot of things that help our body get better sleep. So, and ward off that obesity, because obesity in itself is a humongous risk. And even if the chicken before the egg, if it's the sleep causing the obesity or the obesity causing the sleep issues, we want to make sure that we are doing whatever we can to correct that. And that helps with our overall mood and so many other things as well. And, getting sleep during your whole weight loss cycle, like if you are really trying to get your weight under control, getting adequate quality sleep is so important, just as much as you drinking water. It's it should be part of your healthy weight loss plan. Most importantly, research has shown that losing sleep while dieting can reduce the amount of weight lost and encourage overeating. So we want to make sure that we are doing what we can. Here's some tips for getting the quality sleep during your weight loss adventure. There's many ways to improve your sleep. And number one, keep it on a regular schedule. So big swings in your schedule really can kind of catch up with you and cause that swing in insulin, metabolism, and all that we talked about. So we want to make sure that your blood sugars are balanced. We want to make sure that you're sleeping in a dark room. Exposure to artificial light, like maybe like having a TV on or sleeping with your bedside lamp on, is associated with an increased risk of weight gain and obesity as well. Don't eat right before bed. If you eat late at night, the success of your weight loss attempts decrease. And we want to reduce stress because that hormone cortisol makes us gain belly fat. And so chronic stress can lead to poor sleep and weight gain. We don't want either of that. And it causes really negative emotions. We don't want that either. Be an early bird if you tend to sleep in. Get up earlier. People with late bedtimes and sleeping in tend to consume more calories. So if you become an early riser, you have more of a chance to get your weight under control. Early birds tend to maintain their weight loss compared to night owls. Very interesting, huh? And we want to maintain a healthy relationship with our body as well. So deciding you should, attempt to change your body weight is a total personal decision, but it's best made with the guidance of your healthcare professional. So weight loss, isn't appropriate for every single person, and it really doesn't mean better health sometimes. So we want to make sure that in the case that you are doing it, that it does. So remember that it's a health and a lifelong journey that really includes not only healthy habits, but also having healthy relationship with your own body. And if you're considering weight loss, there's a lot of different ways to do it out there. If you would like help on your journey, please reach out. I'd love to help you, point you in the right direction. I help women solve these mysteries of their body, why they're feeling the way that they're feeling, and how to resolve those unwanted symptoms or whatever it is, aspects of whatever it is going on with their body. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. I will see you soon.